any prospect? I'm sure it was very challenging to be a comedian in the early days of Singapore.
Yeah, well, actually, I became a comedian by chance. You know, I started doing theater in 1993, doing really serious plays, social issues, dealing with what's going on in Singapore. Started my career with the necessary stage. So, um, 2 years later, the playwright Harish said, would you? I think you're funny, so I'm going to write you a play, a comedy. I said okay, and so he wrote the play, and it was a funny character that I had to play, and the producers of Singapore's first sitcom Under One Roof had come to see that particular play, and thought that I was funny, and that I could be a comedian. So they then said, "Would you like to come on the TV show and do a role?" And that role became iconic in that sense. So suddenly Singapore said, "Hey, Hossan Leong is quite funny," and surprised that I was doing all this serious drama, right? And then suddenly I was thrust into the limelight as a comedian, and then some years later, another director, Eka Chai, who started action theatre, said he believed that I could do stand-up comedy, which which is a completely different ball game altogether, because it's not a play. I don't have a character to hide behind. I had to be myself, stand on stage and tell jokes, and so that took a lot of convincing. And I said, "Oh, I really think I can," and I just took the jump, and I said, "Okay, I'll take a leap of faith. I will try it," and that was more than 10 years ago, and so I haven't stopped since then. So that's how it all started. I think naturally, I think it's in the genes as well. My dad my dad's a really funny guy. Yeah, at every Christmas party or birthday party, he would be the one, entertaining the family, the friends, and playing games and singing songs. And I think I kind of get it from him.
So, is comedy, being a comedian, a natural progression for you while growing up, or was it something uh, that's a, like you said, a natural gene?
I think it's natural. I think so, because I don't think you can actually. Well, you can. I don't know. I don't know if you can learn to be funny. I'm not sure, because for me, it always comes naturally. Um, so ever since when I was growing up, I was always performing as well, in church, or in family gatherings and friends and all that stuff. So I was always playing the piano, singing songs, being the clown. So I guess when I decided to be an actor, it kind of became the next step in my career. Um, I still call myself an actor rather than stand-up comedian, because I think stand-up comedy is a real art, and it's really really hard to do. Um, so I guess what labels do you put, right? So I always call myself an actor, and that's where I started. I think that's what I always call myself. So
Who will be your mentor that has actually given you the guidance to be a comedian? Or was there anyone that you admire most, such as maybe probably Seinfeld?
well, in Singapore, when we all first started stand-up comedy, there was only Kumar, right? There was only Kumar, and Kumar was amazing, because he would dare to go on stage and say all these things and get away with it. And we would go to Boom Boom Room back in those days just to watch him. Um, so when I was given my first opportunity to perform stand-up comedy, it wasn't in a club. It was on stage in a theater where people had to pay tickets to come and pay, to come and watch. And I my humor is not like Kumar's. It's different brand of humor. And even though I really respected him for what he does, and he's amazing at it, I couldn't do the kind of stuff he does, because I'm just not like that. So then I started looking at and researching on other stand-up comedians around the world, like Ellen, Seinfeld, Ray Romano, or even Robin Williams, um, to see whether the American style of stand-up comedy can be translated into the Singapore context, because I can't be telling American jokes, right? Um, and I would localize and Singaporeanize the comedy to make it work for here, for our audiences, for the people who need a voice, so to speak, on stage. And so people go, wow, you're so daring, how can you say all these things about politics? I don't, because I basically repeat what you guys say in the coffee shops. I repeat what you guys say, what the taxi drivers tell me in the cab. So I have no political agenda. I'm just telling it like it is. I reflect what society is actually saying. That's all I'm doing. And then people go, wow, yeah, actually, true, it's true. But I'm just saying what you guys are talking about anyway every day.
Speaking of reflections, how did you get yourself involved with dim sum dollies and chestnuts? Because it is such a different reflection of what you usually do. And what do you think about the dim sum dollies and chestnuts, the roles that you played on?
Um, well, when Jonathan approached me to do chestnuts, because his previous partner in crime, Sean, had left the country to migrate, I said yes, because I think chestnuts is brilliant. Jonathan writes so well, and it's my kind of humor as well. And so I said yes, and it's skit based. It's not stand up. You have a character to play, and it's just poking fun, sarcasm, irony, and it's all satire. It's all the things that we hardly see in Singapore, because a lot of Singaporeans don't get it. Satire, double entendre, double meanings. You're like, don't understand. So it's Chestnuts broke new ground in that, and they have this really amazing following, because people are beginning to get it, and they go like, oh my goodness, it's really funny. So I was glad I was part of it as well. Dim Sum Dollies are Selena, Emma, and Pam. They're my good friends. And when Selena said, hey, I want to make this Dim Sum Dolly show happen, but we need a fall guy, we need a chopstick. So they said, you'll be the best person to do it. So, you can be part of the show. So when we did the first Dim Sum Dollies called Steaming, it was a big hit. People they wanted local humor, clever local humor that makes you not just laugh, but then think of what we just said on stage. You can be laughing at all the jokes, then you realize, oh my goodness, they're talking about me. They're talking about you. So I'm talking about the situation, or the social issues, or government policies. And I think it's important that this kind of humor will continue to grow, hopefully, because that's when you realize society has matured. When you're able to laugh at yourselves, and even for politicians, able to think and laugh at, don't take themselves so seriously at the end of the day.
Speaking of humor, and comedy, do you think that Singapore has come a very long way in establishing the comedy scene? What was the history like? You said that Kuma was the first to start it all. Do you have any idea, or ask Kuma what made him begin?
Well, I think Kuma's story was, there was a pub called Cheers many years ago, and it was the brainchild of I think, I can't remember who, Robert, and it was a singing waiter kind of concept. So they would be waiters and serving drinks, and suddenly one of them would go on stage and start singing and perform, and then Kumar would go on and tell jokes. So it all started from there, and it's kind of like, and I think, and then some people got together and started a Boom Boom Room, so which gave Kumar the platform to be the star, to shine. Singapore being the way it was, people didn't dare to say anything in public. right? Because that was the way we were brought up. We live in this society of paranoia, um, but slowly it began to change. When we started doing stand-up comedy, not in pubs anymore, but we brought it to the theatre, myself and Selena, and now the Broadway Bing, and even Kumar's gone big to the Esplanade and do shows like that. And later on this year we have Happy Ever Laughter, which is like 10 comedians doing that thing at Esplanade. Um, People are beginning to just go, I think it's cool to say what you want to say. I mean, as long as you don't lie about it, it's all truth. You don't be, you don't say anything that's malicious, or otherwise you'll be sued for libel. So you got to make sure what you say has truth and fact, and just don't be mean lah. When you tell a joke, it's meant for people to laugh, not meant for people to go, oh, I can't believe you just said that.
Speaking about jokes, here in Southeast Asia, especially Singapore, and being an actor yourself now, when you look back, have you ever regretted being a comedian? Has anyone in your family been supportive you being an actor in the first place? Because from what I understand and from what we have researched is that being an actor in Southeast Asia, especially Singapore, such a small state, it can be very challenging to grow your career. So,
Yeah,
what
it
was
was
your outlook
hard.
like?
It was really hard at the beginning, because I didn't go to university because I couldn't get my Mandarin O levels. I flunked it 4 times, and so university is out of question. And my dad said, you better go and learn a trade, do something important. I mean, useful with your hands, with your life. So I had to study electronics, and it was hell. It was so hard. But I mean, it was just something that back in the 80s and early 90s, you had to do something to get a piece of paper in this country. Otherwise, you can't go anywhere, right? So it was hard, but I managed to get a diploma in that. And then when I came out, I just said, when I graduated, I said, I can't be a technician. I can't be an engineer. I'll rot in an office, in a lab. So I told my mom, I said, look, I want to be an actor. I already kind of knew I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't know how. So I said, I'm going to go audition. And she said, but you'll be wasting your life away. What actor? A Singapore actor doing what? So I said, okay, look, just don't give me pocket money. I will survive on my own. I will just work as an actor. And so I did. I knocked on doors, I auditioned, and I got my first play with The Necessary Stage in 1993. And back then, the money was, I mean, even now, it's not very good, but back then it was $120 for 6 months' work. So in order to supplement that, I worked full-time with the theatre company as admin staff. So just to get a bit of other pocket money, I would learn how to do the backroom stuff, admin, publicity, marketing, do school projects, bring assembly plays and stuff like that. So and then meanwhile rehearse for plays in the day, perform at night. So it was. So I really plunged into the deep end and learned everything I could in that a theatre company, how to run a theatre company. And it was amazing. I learned so much, and I wasn't rich, but I wasn't starving, because I had I was really happy doing something I really really loved. And from then, that's how we got into TV and then movies and radio and stand-up comedy, and now I've got my own company. I run a entertainment consulting company that if people need ideas to produce a show, they come to me and I say, okay, sure, what's your budget like? I do a show for you, stuff like that. So, it's been a wonderful journey. It's next year will be my 20th year in the business already. So I've learned so much.
In your 20 years of your business right now, being the actor in the field of comedy, is there any life lessons that you would give to future generations who wish to pursue your path, in your 20 years? Many have said that, these days, modern generation doesn't care about moral ethics or and so forth.
Mm.
Uh, does moral ethics play an important part of being an actor? Or,
I think it's personal choice. I mean, I don't judge people what they want to do. Um, so in return, I mean, if people want to, say things about what I do, my career, it's like, but it's my career, what, and what I choose to do. Um, but if young people, they want to take this path, my advice to them is, you gotta be constantly improving, constantly learning, constantly um, doing something new, because no matter what happens, even if you get an award, for example, so what? What happens? You're only as good as the last show you did. People only remember you for the last show you did. The next show bombs, you're gone. So how? So I always tell people, don't rest on your laurels, because after that, what happens? You know what I mean? So I always tell the kids, improve yourself, learn a language, learn a sport, learn something new. So the next time someone says, "Oh, can you? I need this actor to be able to ride a horse. Can you ride a horse?" Yes, I can, because you learned it. Can you do martial arts? Yes, I can, because you learned it. Can you speak French? Yes. So you know what I mean? So you expand your horizons that way. Rather than people just go, "Oh, I only can act." Okay, then how? Then like one role can have 300 people auditioning. What makes you stand out of that 300 people to get that role? You see, so I think in Singapore sometimes there's not enough hunger. The younger actors don't hunger enough to get the role. So I tell people, you want a role, you see you can't sing, then go for voice lessons. Go and learn how to sing. Otherwise, you expect to get a role if it's a musical and you don't sing. I don't understand. You know what I mean? So that's what I always tell people nowadays. If you want to be a star, then that's not the path, lah. I don't think so. I think being a star is totally overrated, because at the end of the day, for me, being an actor is more important than anything else, than being a celebrity and all that stuff. I mean, it comes with the job, but if it gets to your head, then I'm sorry, I think you're going to reach a dead end somewhere somehow.
what's next for you, Hossan? I mean, is there any movie or probably a play that you're playing right now?
Well, I'm going to start shooting this week for. I'm going to start shooting for We Are Singaporeans, the game show. It's coming back this year. I will be heading to New York to perform for Singapore Day. Going to Hong Kong to give a talk, TED Talks. So I'm giving a TED Talk in Hong Kong. Then I come back for rehearsals for a musical. La Cage aux Folles will be at the Esplanade in July. In the meantime, I'm preparing for the Hossan Leong show in September. And then I'm directing Stephen Sondheim's Company, the musical, in November. And then rehearsing in the meantime for my Christmas concert in December. And hopefully then I'll take a break after that.
I have a question about your first show, the Hossan Leong show.
Uh-huh.
Yes. How did it came about? Whose idea was it? Was it your idea or was it your dream idea?
It's really funny because that show actually evolved, or it started many, many, many years ago, when I first started doing stand-up comedy, and I was known as the Singapore Boy. So that was the nickname people gave me, the Singapore Boy. And then I had different permutations. The Singapore Boy Returns, so that's part 2. Then the New Adventures of the Singapore Boy, that's part 3. And then Singapore Boy had a break for a while, and then after that, Selena Tan from Dream Academy said, "Hey, we should do a one-man show where you do all kinds of you impersonate all kinds of actors and singers and blah blah blah." So we came up with this show called Multiple Personality Disorder, where I played Whitney Houston, I played Cher, I played Prince, I played Kenny Rogers, I played everybody lah. And it was quite funny because I had to do major costume changes in like 2 seconds. That was about 5 years ago, I think. And then after that, let's parody reality TV on stage. So like, David Letterman, all the talk shows, right? They do it once a week, and they do a roundup of what happened in the week. So I said, let's do the Hossan Leong show, and we parody all these talk shows and reality TV shows on stage, and we do a roundup of the year, because I only do it once a year now. So So it's okay, let's do that. So that was a success. So Hossan Leong show has been going on. This is the 4th year already. Yeah, so that's how it started.
And so, yeah, someone argued that the Hossan Leong show turned out to be more like a branding platform. Um, what do you think, about that statement?
What do you mean by branding?
Well, they say that there were a lot of brands that's been mentioned, brand placements,
Oh, I
such
see.
as such as Milo or some sort.
No, that's because that's why people didn't get it. You see, it was a parody of the talk shows. Because Oprah Winfrey always does it, right? Ellen does it. Like, okay, right now, Hyundai is giving a car to everyone. So we were parodying that. In a sense that we had sponsors come on board and say, okay, right now, all of you get, afternoon tea voucher at St Regis Hotel, sponsored by St Regis. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you were in the audience, wouldn't you be happy to get it? So people who critique that and say that, how come, why got brand product placement? And because the audience likes it, so that they can go home with something. I mean, the first year we had goodie bags for everybody, stuff were given away. Every night I gave away cash to one lucky audience member, which is sponsored. So I don't see anything wrong with it. They are not complaining. And the people who are critiquing about why is there product placement, maybe because they didn't come to the show and didn't win.
About the upcoming show towards the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and almost every other show that you've done so far, including the Hossan Leong show, was it through inspiration? I mean, where do you get your inspiration from? Doing almost every show constantly, and they're new most of the time, and they're not boring. Where do you get your inspiration from?
I pray a lot. No. From everywhere around me, my friends. I got really crazy friends, which most of the time our ideas just come from sitting around talking, and just having fun and joking. Go, hey, that's really funny. Right now. Singapore is amazing. I mean, you sit around and you watch people, and you take MRT, you see how people behave, and you just observe, I think it's important to observe and open your eyes everywhere you go. And traveling as well helps a lot because you learn so much from everywhere, different cultures. And I think it's just being able to see the funny side of life that inspires me. Learning new things inspires me. And it's just, and don't get me wrong, I can feel a bit stale sometimes because you do it so many years. Sometimes the jokes, especially if you do corporate shows, it's a dinner and dance and there are 300 people eating and you're trying to tell a joke and everyone's not listening to you and all that. It can be very soul destroying to be able to perform at a dinner, and as you're telling a joke, somebody go, yeah, I'm saying in the corner, and you're like, hello, it's just rude, right? But what to do? I mean, it's a job sometimes, and then that pays the bills. So I can't complain about that. But it's just that then you got to find that balance between what gives you energy, what gives you inspiration, and think of the positive aspect of that rather than going, oh, I've got to do this job again tonight, oh dear, kind of thing. It's all in the mindset. I think it's very important. Because at one point in time, I was very jaded. I got very I don't want to do this anymore. And my friend said, and it's always your good friends that will tell you the truth. It says, if you're angry, if you are not happy anymore, stop it. Don't do it, because the audience can tell. And that woke me up.
If you had a second life, would you be and still commit yourself as a comedian?
I'd rather retire. No, just kidding. But no, I wouldn't change it for anything else. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey for me. I've had such wonderful experiences, the ups, the downs, and I think that makes everyone, a richer person inside anyway. Yeah, I won't change it for anything else.
So even if you turn as 91 or 100, will you still be a comedian?
But if I can walk, yeah. um, I think I'll always be a performer somehow. Um, I think I think it's in the blood. It's very hard for me to just say, stop. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to learn new things. That's why I'm going to be directing a musical. I want to go into different aspects of the business. Um, Maybe in time start to mentor younger people to take over, because actually if you think about it, where are the younger comedians? I haven't seen any. We need younger stand-up comedians to start coming up and saying, talking and getting on stage.
Have you ever thought about, or did anyone told you or invite you to think about directing a movie, or a comedy?
Oh, movie, I'm not sure, because that medium I'm not very familiar with. I've been in movies, but directing a movie, I don't think it's in the books at the moment. For me, it's more theatre, more musicals. Something that I really like, because I like the immediacy of putting something on stage, and the immediate response you get from the audience. I think that's, for me, is gratifying. Yeah, I would, if I was given a chance to do a movie, I'd rather be in it acting than behind the camera.
And what kind of role would you play if you were given a chance to be in a comedy? What sort of role would you play? Would you play a bad guy, a
Well,
good guy, a chef? Or what would be a choice if you had a choice given to you?
if I were given a choice, I wouldn't want to be in a comedy, in a movie. I would wanna play something completely opposite of what I am, because I hardly get a chance to show the actor side of me. The being able to deliver something serious, for example. And the only times I've been given that chance, ironically, is on Channel 8 in Mandarin. Every time the Mandarin channel calls me, it's always for a serious drama role, must cry, like, want to commit suicide, that kind of. So, but that really challenged me, to play that kind of role and be convincing. So that is something I think is still in the books for me. I would really like to do a movie where I can show a different side of me.
Come back to the very beginning, and I hope we could end with this high note. When you first begin acting as an actor in theater, in the area of comedy, could you give us just one instance where that the most fulfilling moment of your life? What role did you play that actually people give you the compliment because that was something that inspired you to move on as an actor from then on?
Wow, so many.
We're talking about the beginning. Okay.
Well,
Was there?
when I was okay, when I was still starting out as an actor, I used to play Army Days, Michael Chang's Army Days, when it was restaged at the World Trade Center auditorium back then, before they tore it down. I auditioned for the role of Malcolm Peng, which is the lead, and I didn't get it. So okay, it doesn't matter. And 2 weeks into the show, the lead came down with chickenpox, and I got a call, and they said, "Can you come tonight to watch the play?" I said, "I've seen it already." He said, "No, come." I said, "Why?" "Just come." So I went to the theater. They met me, the producers, shoved the script into my hand, said, "You sit here and you watch the play, because tonight is the actor's last night to perform, because he's got chickenpox, he's got to leave. You are taking over tomorrow." So I was like, I had the script in my hand, in the dark with torchlight. Okay, exit left, exit right. So I had to watch the play, and next day reported for rehearsals at 2 p.m. and I was on that very night. So I had less than 24 hours to learn that play, and I did it, and it was, I think, my proudest moment ever, to be able to step into someone else's shoes and deliver the play and finish the rest of the run. So
So you're actually able to memorize the entire script.
yeah, I was younger. I was much younger then.
Oh, but were you able to do that today? You know.
I don't know. I mean, it was pressurizing. I think it was pressure plus the fact that you had to deliver and people had bought tickets, and but that really made then people sit up and notice and go, hey, yes, Hossan Leong can actually do, step into someone, do the play. And so that was my first, I think, ever moment where I was like, I am glad I'm an actor because I could do it.
Did anyone compliment you for that?
I guess I can't remember now, but it was really one of those moments in your career where you go like, I can't believe I took over a role in 24 hours. So yeah, it was great.
Well, Hossan, thank you for sharing with us
No,
here
thank
at
you.
the National Critics' Choice, and we are very honored to give you the award for one of the best actors of the year in the comedy category in Southeast Asia. And we look forward to seeing you in New York as well
Yeah.
at the festival. And once again, folks, if you wish to look out for Hossan Leong, I believe he has a Facebook or even a website. Do you have one?
Yeah, no, normally I tweet, so it's
Okay.
at Hossan Leong. That's my handle, at Hossan Leong Twitter, and every time there's something new in my life, it's all I tweet, because I think that reaches out to a lot of people, and so please follow me on Twitter, and you'll get all the lowdown on everything that's happening in my life and more.
That's right. Here you go. And just keep on tweeting for Hossan Leong.
Thank you.
Thank you.